Hi guys, it's Blackie for Shaman's Forge Bushcraft. Continuing with the Kukri series. Now let's start with the most basic. In the last video I talked about what is a Kukri. Now we're starting to get into some stuff on how to use a Kukri. So first, let's start with one of the most basic things there is, but very important. How to draw a Kukri from the sheath. Now, I know what you're saying. I know how to pull a knife out of a sheath. That is true, but you also got to realize that a Kukri is a little different than the average knife. Now this is a traditional sheath. What it is, it's wood, two pieces of wood, clamshell together like that. And then there's a hollow in the inside for the blade to fit into. And then on the outside of it, they stitch a type of very thin, but very relatively tough leather that pulls it tight. And it's kind of lightly glued around the edges. Now the official name for it from one of these from Nepal is called laha, but I honestly think it's kind of like pine pitch. It seems similar. And that's what glues the edge all the way around, and then it's covered in a material. I have covered mine in an additional layer of khaki canvas. But what that means is, right here on the sheath is just two pieces like that. That seal right there isn't that pronounced. So if you were to grab it and slice forward, you could slice out of the sheath on the way out, because as you notice, as you're coming out, you kind of point X and it kind of binds up. That's when the full width of the blade is reaching this narrow point. And then you should push back against the back and slide it out, because as you can see, it's all the way to that edge. And right there is the thickest. And there is no room for error. It is 100% end-to-end touching. And then it slides out. So that thin little edge right there, the edge is like thin as a dime, short of slicing out. So, you don't grab a sheath like that with your fingers around it and grab and yank. Because if you went forward enough times doing it, you're going to break that connection, and then you're going to go and go right to them fingers. My godson, Matthew Batchelor, I gave one of my early Kukris to him. He was a young man, a Boy Scout in his, I think he was 17, 18 at the time. And he had it a very short amount of time before he severely injured his hand, and it wasn't his fault. Another young man and then part of a group were clearing some stuff, and he was going to go and take the Kukri away from Matthew to use it for something. So he came up and he asked, and he grabbed a hold of it, and Matthew grabbed the sheath. And when he grabbed and came out, it got all four fingers. He had to have surgery to reattach tendons and stuff. There is no minor wound from a Kukri. So this is real knowledge. This isn't some BS stuff, guys. It's a safety factor. When you pull the Kukri, you grip it like that, no fingers over that edge, and you push the back of the Kukri up as you pull out. That's the proper way to pull a Kukri. Now, a Kukri won't fall out on its own from a good sheath. I mean, it is secure, and if it sits there and rattle, see, it comes down to that bind point. That's it. You're not going to lose a Kukri out of a sheath easy. So, the sheath is an integral part of how we carry and use the Kukri. Another little tip or trick that I'll give you right now is a little extra, is this. I have pulled my Kukri out like this before and used this edge and grabbed a hold of this as a draw knife. Makes a rock solid draw where I had to peel on something very hard. I could bear down on it and be able to safely wrap my hand around what would be the edge of my knife without having to pat it. And since the weight is being put back here on the back, it's not harming my sheath. I could draw file with this as a draw knife. Now let me show you that right. I've got a pretty hard piece of hickory right here, and I've stuck it down in the ground, and I'm leaning my body to hold it. Now I'm going to take my Kukri, and I'm going to slide it out so I've got my edge, and using my sheath, I can very carefully use it as a draw knife like this. I can either pull toward me, or I can very easily, if it's really hard stuff, like this is, I can push away from me, like that. It allows me control without having my fingers near the edge of that sharp kukri. And so I can generate shavings of a really hard material. So, the sheath is a part of the kukri ensemble, we'll say. It can be used as a safety handle when I'm draw knifing. Yes, I can cut my hand and do it this way, but I always run the risk of that edge being right there at my wrist, and that's dangerous. If this slips, my hand slips, my wrist and that edge is too close. So, I can slide it in here and I'm safer. I just pull straight to me. If it slips forward or back, by keeping it kind of choked up where I'm using that knife edge, I've got plenty of blade there, and it wants to bind up there anyway. And so I'm just carefully pulling, or as you saw, carefully pushing. I can draw knife. Now, what's that going to generate? I'm going to make really fine curls for a feather stick. I need to plane down a piece of wood for a dovetail notch, something like that. It's where I'm trying to make something fit this way. It makes for a safe drawing of the blade. It also allows me to have a handle for using the blade. A couple other things that can be done with the sheath. One thing is the little accessory knives on the back. They can serve as an awl to make little holes into leather or into wood if I need to just run a line through something for a little toggle. And as you can see, I also carry a file on the back of mine, so I've got a way to touch up my edge. So the kukri sheath should be utilized as a tool. Hope this gives you some ideas, guys. Please leave any questions or comments. I'm Blackie for Shaman's Forge Bushcraft, wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.